Joining us tonight at News of the South. Tonight I will be speaking to Mr. Gilbert Navonika. He's the former NPP Chairman, NPP UK Chairman. So we're just waiting for Mr. Navonika to come online, and tonight we will be discussing the Zimbabwean voter apathy with Mr. Gilbert Navonika. Okay, so if you'd like to follow us with all the interviews we are doing concerning everything Zimbabwean, you can do so by subscribing to our channel, News of the South on YouTube. You can also follow us on the website, www.newsofthesouth.com. So I'm just waiting for Mr. Gilbert Navonika to come online now. Okay, we've had a number of interviews, and you can catch up with us on those ones. They are all on YouTube. We recently spoke to Zimbabwean lawyer based in Birmingham in the United Kingdom, Mr. Itai Preston Choto. We discussed about the recent cabinet reshuffle, and we've also spoken to Mr. Munamo Gumbomberi. He's the current NPP chairman, also based in the UK. And on Friday, we will be speaking to Mr. Langton Shirinda, independent candidate for the forthcoming Zimbabwe presidential elections. Mr. Gilbert Navonika, we're waiting for you to come online so we can start discussing the Zimbabwe voter apathy for the forthcoming elections. Okay, we're still waiting for him to come online. I'm not sure what's happening with him, but I do hope he will join us shortly. Okay, so yes, we will be speaking to all the candidates who are contesting for next year's presidential elections. And if you'd like to hear what everyone has to offer and what they have to say, you can join us at News of Mr. Navonika has joined us now. Mr. Navonika, how are you tonight? Okay, we're still waiting for Mr. Navonika to connect with us, and I'm sure he will be coming on the screen any second from now. And we will begin to discuss the voter apathy. Apparently, it's been reported that very few people are registering to vote. So we need to discuss and find out what's happening in Zimbabwe. Okay, just waiting for Mr. Navonika to come online. I'm sure he's still connecting, trying to connect with us right now. Okay. We will be discussing travel and tourism tomorrow with our special guest based in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the United States of America. I will be giving you details later on tonight, so you know what to expect for tomorrow night. But yes, we will be speaking to one independent presidential candidate Friday at 9 p.m. BST. So you're all welcome to join us and hear what Mr. Langton Shirinda has got to say. Okay, we are still waiting for Mr. Navonika. I'm not sure what's happening to Mr. Navonika now, but I do hope he will join us any second from now. Mr. Navonika, if you're watching, could you kindly come online? We are waiting patiently for you to connect with us. We will be discussing a lot of issues with various people from Africa, not necessarily Zimbabwe, from the whole of the African continent. And we will also be speaking to other people in other parts of the world, in other continents as well, besides Africa. As you probably know, News of the South focuses on news from Southern Africa. So we do touch on a wide range of countries from the Southern African region, and we are still expanding our team. You will be hearing more news from other parts of the world as well. We've recently set up in Australia, and we've set up in the United Arab Emirates. We are also now in Mozambique, and we are in Zambia. We will soon be going into Malawi and Swaziland. We are also in South Africa, and we will be going to other countries as well. So Stay with us at News of the South. The website is www.newsofthesouth.com. And tonight you're speaking to me. My name is Eugene Majuru. Okay. And I'm just waiting for Mr. Gilbert Navonika to come online now. I'm not sure what's happening there, but I do hope he will join us shortly. Okay, I'm not sure what's happening to Mr. Navonika, so we will interrupt this broadcast while I try to contact him to see what problems he's having connecting with us. If you could join us in 2 minutes, we will be right back. Okay, Mr. Navonika, welcome.
Oh, how are you? Sorry, I was having a bit of...
Fine. I'm so happy you managed to come online. We were just about to interrupt this broadcast. We thought something had happened to you out there.
Well, no, technology nowadays, sometimes you have to get around it. It was asking me to connect the microphone. So, yeah, so it's all connected now.
Okay, thank you for joining us at News of the South. Mr. Navonika is the former NPP UK Chairman. Mr. Navonika, can you briefly tell us about your political career and when you started politics, being involved in politics?
Well, I think as politics goes, I don't think I'm a new face to politics because I believe politics lives within us, and also I might not be active for a very long time, but I've been keeping tabs on what has been happening in Zimbabwe. I think when I left Zimbabwe, I used to be an MDC supporter because I so much believed in what the MDC had started, the movement that inspired people like myself and people around the world, and proof is there to show what they did in the past, and I'm sure what they continue to do now. So it inspired me that one of these days I want to be involved, not from the terraces but being there. So now I'm a member in NPP, an ordinary card-carrying member.
Okay, that sounds great. So why did you decide to choose the National People's Party led by Dr. Joyce Mujuru? There are several other political parties in Zimbabwe. Why NPP?
I think it was the time that I met Mai Mujuru. Well, before I met her, I read the Build Manifesto. So everything that was written in the Build Manifesto just drew me to the party, and I believe from that time up until this time, whatever has been said in that document, most of it is coming to fruition. So the manifesto was a big pull for me, and as a young person, I also have ambitions to do well, to see the party grow, and to influence many people out there.
Okay, during your term as NPP UK Chairman, what has been your greatest challenge?
Well, I think one of the greatest challenge that we face is, I think, the buy-in is a big problem in our people, because Zimbabweans, we take a lot and a longer time to be convinced of a genuine movement, because we tend to have so many questions, and sometimes I realize most of us want to be led than to be leaders, and it's one of those problems I think we see in Zimbabwe. So that was one of the greatest challenge, trying to sell the brand to people, especially people in the diaspora, because as you can see, majority of people in the diaspora are living pretty well. So I think maybe some of them are isolating themselves from the realities that are happening in Zimbabwe. So, when you go to someone and you ask them that I want you to come and support this movement so that we can see a better Zimbabwe, maybe one day we might go back to Zimbabwe. People don't really see the meaning of that, especially when you can have 5 meals a day, with no too much sweat. I think it becomes we are too comfortable. I think that's what I think. Not everyone.
Okay, unfortunately, there will not be any diaspora vote for 2018 elections. Have you gone to Zimbabwe to register to vote for next year, or are you still yet to travel
Yes,
to register?
I'm planning on doing that trip. I think me and a few colleagues, because I think it's an unfortunate thing that we are not allowed to vote from where we are, because I believe we are not here because of choice. We are here because of the situation back home, which has turned most of us into migrants. So I would want to go to Zimbabwe and vote. It is a big shame, really, considering the amount of money that diaspora sends back home to help our loved ones, which also helps the government to have forex and not to be allowed to exercise the right to vote. I always say to people, I did not choose Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe chose me. So I was born there, and I should be allowed to exercise the right to vote. For those who can afford to go to Zimbabwe, who have the documentation in place, they should, let's encourage one another to go and register to vote and exercise our right. And remember that voting is your right. Nobody should steal that vote, that right from you.
Okay, coming to the voter registration itself, this is a slow process at the moment in Zimbabwe. Why do you think a lot of people are not interested in registering to vote?
The problem we see, and the problem that is being reported a lot of times, is people now, there's this kind of sentiment that people always think that the result is already decided. ZANU-PF are already rigging and what have you. But I think we should overwhelm the system. Really, we should go and register in numbers. I think what I'm trying to do in all these times when I'm campaigning online and stuff like that is to encourage the virgin voters or the undecided voters, really, because that say in each party you have people that that they will go and register to vote, or they will vote come rain, come sunshine, come thunder. But those people who haven't voted before, and those people who are not sure whether to register to vote next year, those are the people that we should be targeting as the people in the opposition or civic movements. Because if you look at the numbers in the past elections, at the present minute is being reported that we have a total number of about 7 million potential eligible voters in Zimbabwe. And of that 7 million, only 4.5 million have exercised the right to vote in the past two elections, which I think the 2013 and the other one before that. So the rest who are not voting, they are actually voting by not voting. So allowing ZANU-PF to do whatever he wants with Zimbabwe because they are sitting on the sidelines. So I think most of the emphasis and the discussion around voter registration and voter education should also be concentrated on those people who haven't voted before and those people who are undecided. Because the moment you stop, being part of the process, you are just aiding and abetting ZANU-PF rule for forever.
Okay, so from all the candidates and the parties that are contesting for the presidential election, who do you think is going to be first? Who will be second? Who will be third? And can you also give me your reasons why you think that way?
Well, that question I don't think has got a simple answer because you can never predict these things. I'll give an example. In America, everybody thought Hillary Clinton would win, but on result night, we were shocked. And also in Africa, politics in Africa is not straightforward for you to have a straightforward answer. I would love to give you a biased answer and say Mam Juru will do well, but that would be naive of me to give you a closed answer like that. But what I would say to you is, as NPP, we are working so hard in the grassroots to try and educate and inform people the benefits of voting for NPP. And all the, because we've got so many progressive parties in Zimbabwe, MDCT, and to name a few. So all those guys, the message is the same. We want to vote for change. So, and I'm sure you are aware, reading newspapers, that there's also talks about coalition. People should decide how they want this election to be, and we are the change that is needed in Zimbabwe. So if we all say we are going to vote for NPP to be the bridge to the new Zimbabwe, then so be it. That's democracy, isn't it? I think I, for one, would want to see NPP do well, because I believe what we are doing in NPP is allowing people like myself, young people like myself, an opportunity to be leaders of tomorrow. And I'll take the words of Dr. Mjuru when I met her in Leicester this year. She said to me, "What do you want to see in a new Zimbabwe? What is it that you want?" And I was looking at her and I said, "I want to see a Zimbabwe where everyone can live happy side by side." And she said, "You are the people who can shape that Zimbabwe." So that is my drive, to see an inclusive Zimbabwe. So to all the progressive parties, I call for unity, cohesion, and consistency and perseverance, really.
Okay, I believe there are thousands and thousands of NPP supporters in Zimbabwe. From those supporters that you already have, what method of mobilization is the party using to get these people to register for the elections?
Well, majority of it, as you know, it's very difficult in Zimbabwe to go about and talk about voter registration because of the intimidation tactics that are used by the ruling party. But there's also a number of things that have been done. Like today, Maim Juru is in Rushinga there talking to villagers, some of the people there. And that is one of those things that we are doing on the grassroots, talking to these people so that they can go and talk to their families to register to vote. Because I think majority of people do not really see the value of voting because of the past results. But now, if people are taught in the right way and are told the benefits of voting, especially coming talking about your manifesto, what you are going to do, what you can do for those people in a new Zimbabwe, I'm sure people, who have that desire to go and register and vote come next year.
Okay, would you say it brings a sense of pride in knowing that one took part in voting for an election? What does it mean to you, voting? What does it mean?
Sorry, say
does
that
it
again.
bring any sense of pride?
Say that again, sorry.
Okay, I was just asking whether being part of the voting process and taking part in an election means something to anybody or to people out there. For example, I can go and take part in the elections and vote and exercise my right to vote. I will feel proud that I've been part of it. Whether A or B or C candidate wins the election, does it mean anything to you just being part of the voting system?
Oh yes, definitely. I think that's the message, isn't it? Because I think you have to be proud to be part of the process. Because if you're not proud to be part of the voting process, then I don't know what you want to be proud of. Because you look at the numbers that I've spoken about earlier, where say for example, I'll take you to when Obama took office. I know it's a different ballgame altogether, but it was a historic moment. I was talking at one of these seminars recently where I was saying to people, why can't we inspire one another to vote in huge numbers? Then we can make history for ourselves, so that we can also be read and seen in different news outlets. Why can't we do that? Do we not have a crop of leaders that inspire us, or is it because we don't know the benefits of what it is that we have at the end of the voting process? So, but to answer your question, I think anybody who votes should be proud of voting, really. Yeah. So we should encourage one another to take part in the process and shape the Zimbabwe that we want.
Okay, is there anything else that you would like to say about the elections, about the voting process before you go?
I would want to just encourage people to continue to mobilize, amongst, ourselves, because if we wait for our leaders to mobilize for us, I think we'll be waiting until amen. So I think we should continue to push this message and this gospel to the world, to Zimbabwe, so that people in Zimbabwe themselves understand why they are voting and how they are going to vote. Because there's been rumors going about, I think there was one MDC MP in Wange, if I'm not mistaken. She went to see villagers there who were saying people were afraid to go and vote, register to vote, because they were told that the BVR kits are there to monitor them and capture their information, that when they vote during voting time next year, they will know who they voted for, so they will be in trouble. So those are some of the messages that we need to put across, that is not correct. This is not how BVR works. And there's a lot of work that is being done by Election Resource Center, which is doing a great job with the pamphlets. And today they were doing pamphlet, leaflet distribution, I think in Chitungwiza as well, and in Bare. And that is really good. So we should continue to encourage one another, even our relatives, and those who can print some of those pamphlets in the languages. Please do so. Not everybody in Zimbabwe, is able to speak English. So if they cannot understand English, print the language that they do understand, so that we don't leave anybody behind in this process. So let's continue to fight for one another. Zimbabwe is a very peaceful country, and I believe, with everything that we're doing, even churches as well, they should be encouraging their congregants also to participate in this process, because I think sometimes I think churches are left behind most of the times. So I urge church leaders also to do well, in that respect. So let's register in numbers, let's overwhelm the system, and let's change Zimbabwe, and let's shape Zimbabwe the way we want to see it tomorrow. I believe a new Zimbabwe is possible, and I believe also that we can do really, really well. So I want to thank you with that.
Talking about overwhelming the system, Mr. Navonika, 2018 is a historical year for Zimbabwean elections, with over 70 candidates taking part in this election. Have you imagined how the government is going to design the ballot paper, or what the ballot paper is going to look like when you walk into those voting places to cast your vote?
Well, the number 70, I don't know whether that's an official number or it's just a number that is being thrown out there. But I worry, as much as many people are worried about splitting the votes, really. So I think we should be careful on that front. I think the government has got the budget for the elections, as they said. So I'm not really sure, what is going to happen in that respect. But my worry is on vote splitting, and I just hope those that don't have ambitions for 2018 should just build in the background. Maybe wait for 2023, because, like I said, let's make 2018 a historic moment. Yeah.
Will you be one of those taking part in the 2023 elections at all?
Well, time will tell.
Okay, thank you so much for talking to us tonight at News of the South. Mr. Gilbert Navonika, National People's Party, UK former chairperson. We do hope to talk to you sometime soon before the elections. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for affording me this time. May God bless you, and may God bless Zimbabwe.
Thank you.
Thank you.